Okay, so there's been a lot of talk about this very cute sock puppet in the Louis Tomlinson video for Lemonade. As fans know, it dropped in October 2025, and there's been a lot of chatter, and some fans are absolutely honing in on two specific moments, the portal sequence and this mysterious sock puppet. So some people think the puppet is just a fun, random prop. Others, especially people inside the Larry fandom, which probably my favorite fandom, believe it's a direct visual callback to Harry Styles' Watermelon Sugar video. I personally think it is, but let's just take a look because there's some visually, there's some similarities, and if anything, the Larry's, they're big pattern recognition folks. So, all right, so let's break it all down and kind of go into a step-by-step kind of take on this portal, the puppet, the color choices, the lyrics, and some possible symbolism that ties it all together that's making the buzz in the fandom spaces. Okay, so let's pour a glass of metaphorical lemonade and get started. All right, so let's start with a quick recap of what actually happened. So the video opens on Louis in a glossy photo shoot. He's under these blinding lights, clearly sort of looking cool, and everything has this sort of polished veneer to it, at least in my opinion. Then he suddenly walks off set and wanders into a surreal lemon yellow estate, and from that moment, things sort of unfold in a good way. So we see a yellow body suit, figures dancing, a lemonade stand run by a sock puppet, and Louis watching it all with his half-amused, half-bewildered look. Finally, in the closing sequence, he dives fully clothed into a pool, almost like a baptism or a reset button. So visually, we've got three major motifs right away. A portal-like transition shot, a socket puppet with a rainbow-colored hair, and the overwhelming presence of yellow. Lemons, walls, clothing, everything. But on the surface, it's a surreal fun. But if you've been in the fandom spaces on Reddit, Discord, and Twitter, or now X, you know that that's never just what it means. There's always more underneath. So let's talk about the portal. So in the video, there's this quick blink and you miss it transition where the camera warps. The scene distorts, almost like film burning or reality melting, and then Louis steps into this other world. It's subtle, but it's powerful. Now, on Reddit, there was one fan literally wrote, and I quote, "There's a portal." That's not just a throwaway reaction. It's a core symbol in the Larry community right now. Or at least it's sort of a dominating kind of conversation. Depending on which Larry community you're in. So think about it. A portal means transformation. It means leaving one world and entering another. If you apply that symbolically, Louis might be showing us the moment that he crosses from the public facade, which is the photo shoot version of himself, into the inner, hidden world where truth or emotion lives. And here's what makes it even more interesting. If you pause it around 22 seconds, then again around 51 seconds, and then later at 2:45 seconds, you'll see these flickering fill marks, like little holes in the frame. Fans are convinced that those aren't random effects, that they're markers, like breadcrumbs, little visual we see you moments. So if the portal marks a transition into an alternative reality, maybe a coded emotional one, then everything after that point might belong to a hidden narrative space. And inside that space appears the puppet. So, okay, let's get to the star of the theory, which is this very cute sock puppet. So this puppet pops up about halfway through the video. It's whimsical, colorful, and if you freeze the frame, it has pink and gray stripes and rainbow-colored hair. Fans wondered, hey, does that sound familiar? So immediately folks noticed that it looks exactly like Harry Styles' shirt in the Watermelon Sugar video. That pink and gray striped top that he wore during the beach scenes back in 2019. And of course, rainbow colors are practically a coded motif for Harry. So the theory goes like this. The sock puppet is not random. It's Harry, or at least it symbolizes Harry's presence, the memory, the muse, the creative echo that still exists in Louis' internal world, perhaps. In the video, the puppet opens a lemonade stand and performs almost like it's entertaining the lemon yellow crowd. Louis watches silently, expression unreadable. It's playful, but it also feels kind of loaded. Some fans have gone as far as to say Louis really wants us to know he's thirsty, and Harry's the only one who can quench that thirst. I totally can see that. I mean, I don't care if people think that we're all reading into it. It's just, how many times can these coincidences and these sort of simpatico color codes occur without it being like, okay, this is getting obvious? I mean, I personally don't think there's any coincidences, but if I did think there was coincidences, the fact that there's so many of them all the time over years, it's like a pattern. That's not a coincidence. That's orchestrated. All right. So is that literal, this thing about Louis being thirsty and Harry's the only one who can quench the thirst? Well, of course not. But in fandom language, thirst often means yearning, emotional longing. So here's how many are reading it. The puppet is a symbolic stand-in for Harry's creative energy. Louis, now in his lemon world, is watching the puppet perform from a distance, unable to interact directly, but still connected through color, tone, and movement. The lemonade stand itself represents Louis' offering, his art, his truth, and he's confronting the reflection of his old creative partner through that puppet. Wow, this is deep. I think I'm going to have to do like some kind of psychoanalytic take on this, because this is serious symbolism, the kind that Carl Jung himself liked. So even if you don't believe in Larry as a literal thing, that symbolism lands beautifully. It's the artist confronting his own past, projected outward as performance art. So let's layer in the lyrics and the color palette, because this is where it really ties together. So one lyric that jumps out is, "Bright yellow spaceship might make me start to believe." That line alone connects the visuals and the portal imagery perfectly. A yellow spaceship, a surreal world, belief in transcendence. Yellow dominates every frame. Lemon walls, yellow suits, golden light. It's the color of sunlight, warmth, and renewal, but also of delirium and overstimulation. Too much yellow can represent the loss of grounding, like being caught inside a dream. Then, boom, contrast. The puppet appears in pink, gray, and in rainbow tones, the only moment the color palette breaks. So visually, it demands attention. It's not just a puppet. It's an intruder in the yellow world, something from outside the current era that doesn't quite belong, but Louis can't look away. Then there's the ending. Louis, fully clothed, jumps into the pool. That moment mirrors Harry's falling and Sign of the Times imagery. Water, cleansing, emotional rebirth. He's diving out of the surreal lemon dream, maybe back into reality, maybe into acceptance. So if we connect all these threads, the portal, the moment he crosses into an inner world, the puppet, the ghost of collaboration or memory or connection. The color yellow, creative energy, transformation, or self-exposure. The water, a closure, emotional surrender. It's visually coherent, even if you ignore the fandom readings. But when you include the fandom lens, the coincidences start feeling too specific to ignore. Now, before we all grab our tinfoil hats, let's take a deep breath and a step back. Not every symbol has to point to Larry. It's equally possible that the puppet is just a metaphor for Louis' public persona, a performing self created for the industry. In that case, the puppet might represent how artists sometimes feel like puppets themselves, colorful, performative, but not fully autonomous. The lemonade stand could be a metaphor for selling that persona to the public, sweetness as survival. The portal then might just represent the break between authenticity and facade, the dream state of fame itself. When he dives into the pool, maybe he's just waking up. That interpretation holds, and it's important to acknowledge it, because art that works on multiple levels is what makes Louis' visuals so powerful. They leave room for both literal and emotional truth. As one fan put it perfectly on Reddit, maybe they're not sending secret messages, maybe they're just giving us mirrors. Exactly. Mirrors reflect what we're ready to see. So where does that leave us? Well, here's a short version. The portal is a visual threshold between public and private, real and imagined. The sock puppet looks unmistakably like Harry's watermelon sugar shirt, making it the perfect Easter egg candidate. The video's color and lyric motifs reinforce the idea of alternate realities and inner truths. And whether you interpret it as a hidden Larry callback or just an exploration of creative identity, Lemonade succeeds because it keeps people talking and decoding days and weeks later. Pop visuals are rarely this layered, and Louis seems to know exactly how to make his audience think. Well, of course, because he's brilliant. So what do you think? Is the sock puppet Harry-coded, or are we all just collectively overanalyzing a cute puppet show? No, it's Harry-coded. It's totally Harry-coded, in my opinion. Well, but drop your theories below. and let's see what we all think. And if you want a part 2 where we track all the confirmed and rumored Easter eggs between Louis' lemonade era and Harry's watermelon sugar era, let's comment below. So until next time, let's stay curious, stay kind, and remember, sometimes the weirdest props tell the truest stories. Honestly, everything Louis does is so calculated that I personally don't think that this is a coincidence. I don't think it's just a matter of, say, artistic treatment, layout design with the videographers. I think one thing about Louis, which is just my theory, is he tends to communicate with his audience. And remember when he came out with the song "Always You," and then there was like that tweet on Twitter where he said, like, "Have you figured out the lyrics yet?" And then that same week that tweet was sent out, he was in an interview and he talked about how he had gone to Amsterdam with his girlfriend. I think it was Eleanor at the time. And then you listen to the lyrics of like "Always You," and it says, "I went to Amsterdam without you. All I could do is dream about you." And it's like, well, hold on a second. You went to Amsterdam, but you said in an interview that you went with your girlfriend. So then you would think that the lyrics of "Always You" would be about how they went to Amsterdam, had a good time, but instead it's like going to Amsterdam and like missing this person, which is like, so how did the trip with your girlfriend inspire this song? So he's done things like that, which is like, okay, on one hand, the skeptics can say that it's just really clever marketing and he's Larry baiting, but you can't Larry bait to sell things when Larry is the biggest like not kept secret. Like, as big as the Larry fandom is, the average person does not know about the Larry Stylinson thing. It's really wild considering Larry Stylinson's been around for almost 16 years, but there's new Larrys born every day. And there's people that have followed one direction and just didn't stumble upon the Larry universe. So you cannot bait using Larry when Larry is still kind of like a subculture in the fandom and hasn't hit critical mass. So I think let's use Occam's razor to kind of explain that. I think he was basically just giving he was communicating to the fans, the Larrys, that him and Harry still have this thing. So anyway, things haven't changed. He's done, there's so many versions of Louis and Harry doing things like this, like things that almost compel the fans to read between the lines because they know that they will, right? So anyway, I just like the song Watermelon Sugar. I mean, I really like the song Lemonade and Watermelon Sugar. And they both of these two have a thing with fruit, it seems. Now, so yeah, I'm looking forward to more to this album. I totally am.